People laugh when I tell them Ashfield had only one law. Don't look at the scarecrow after midnight. It sounds like the kind of small-town folklore you'd read in a gas station pamphlet on your way to somewhere better. But I grew up there. And I remember the smell of damp corn husks, the hollow thump of the windmill at night, and that scarecrow standing in the center of the south field, its burlap face sagging like wet paper, its arms out like it was waiting for someone. Every Halloween they dressed it different. Sometimes a faded flannel shirt, sometimes a black coat from the donation bin behind the church. The older folks said it had to change clothes each year or it would notice who was watching. Nobody explained what that meant and nobody asked twice. When I was 15 I thought the rule was stupid. My friends, Mark, Jenna and Dale, did too. We'd sit outside the Quick Mart drinking cheap soda and watching families rush home before dark on Halloween, as if the corn itself would swallow them. Every window would go dark by 11. Even the police car disappeared from Main Street. At midnight the fields were the only things alive. That Halloween Dale said, "Let's see what happens if we look." I remember laughing trying to sound brave. Everyone in Ashfield said the scarecrow moved if you stared too long. They said its head turned toward you, and if it caught you after midnight, you'd never see your reflection again. I didn't believe that part. Still, the way the wind pushed through those stalks made it sound like whispering. We met behind the old feed store with flashlights and one of those disposable cameras. The moon was so bright it looked fake. A harvest moon, orange and swollen. 10 minutes, Mark said, checking his cheap digital watch. We go up, take a picture and leave. I remember the air smelled sweet like rotting pumpkins and cold metal. We cut through the field, corn brushing against our arms. The scarecrow rose out of the fog, tall and thin, wearing a new brown coat that fluttered like a flag. Someone had given it a wide-brimmed hat. Its face was stitched tighter this year, no mouth, just 2 black buttons and a long seam down the middle like it was hiding something underneath. Jenna stopped walking first. "It's humming," she whispered. I listened. Between the rustle of corn there was a low, rhythmic sound, like breath caught in burlap. Dale laughed. Probably a raccoon. He stepped closer and lifted the flashlight. The beam landed on the scarecrow's chest. That's when we saw the rope, fresh and thick, tied around its neck and looped down its back like it had been hung there only hours before. Mark's watch beeped. 12 a.m. The moment it did, the wind stopped. The whole field went silent as if something huge had taken a breath. "Take the picture," I said. Dale lifted the camera, clicked once, then froze. His flashlight flickered and died. Jenna screamed. In the strobe of the dying light, I saw it. The scarecrow's head turning, slow, creaking like a door hinge, until both black buttons faced us. We ran. Corn tore at our jackets. I didn't stop until the field ended and the lights of town shimmered ahead. But when I looked back, I could still see the scarecrow's silhouette against the moon, arms raised like it was waving. The next morning, Dale didn't show up at school. His mom thought he'd stayed at Mark's. Mark swore he went home. Jenna wouldn't talk. By that night, sheriff's trucks were parked along the field. They said they found footprints, 3 pairs of sneakers heading in, 2 coming out. No one asked about the third. Halloween ended and people went back to pretending everything was fine. But when the wind blew through the south field, it made a new sound, like something dragging across wood. And the scarecrow's coat was gone, replaced with a jacket that looked exactly like Dale's. People in Ashfield don't talk about that Halloween anymore. The next fall came and went without decorations, without candy, without laughter. Everyone just waited for November 1st to arrive, the way you wait out a thunderstorm. I moved away at 17. Joined the road crew, worked long hours, tried to forget the smell of damp corn. But every October I'd wake at midnight, sure I could still hear the rustle of that field. 20 years later, after my mother passed, I had to go back to Ashfield to clear her house. The town was smaller, quieter. Main Street had 2 working lights and the Quick Mart was gone. But the field was still there. Someone had rebuilt the scarecrow. It wore a new coat, dark green, but the same rope hung down the back. The same wide-brimmed hat. The same tilt of the head as if listening. A sign stood by the fence now. No trespassing. By order of the town council. And underneath, in faded paint, "Midnight belongs to him." I told myself I wouldn't go near it. That lasted until Halloween night. I'd finished packing and was drinking coffee when I heard a knock, 3 slow taps on the door. Nobody was outside, but on the porch sat an envelope with my name written in pencil. Inside was a photograph, 4 teenagers in the field, flash glare in our eyes. Dale was in the middle. Behind him, the scarecrow's head was turned toward the camera. On the back, someone had scrawled, "He's waiting for the last one." The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. The wind outside had gone still again. I don't know what made me grab a flashlight and drive out there. Maybe guilt. Maybe the same stupid curiosity that killed my friend. The moon was full, swollen orange, the harvest moon just like before. The fence creaked when I climbed it. The corn was taller than I remembered, dry and whispering against my coat. Each step felt heavy like the earth didn't want me there. When I reached the clearing, the scarecrow was waiting. Up close, the coat looked darker, stiff with something that wasn't mud. The rope looped around its neck was frayed, and where the burlap had torn along the seam, I could see a glimpse of something pale underneath, something that looked too much like skin. I raised the flashlight. Dale? The wind didn't answer. But the scarecrow's hat slid off, slowly as if pushed from beneath. That's when I saw hair. My watch beeped. The flashlight flickered once, twice and went out. In that darkness I heard breathing, slow, dragging, the same sound from all those years ago. Then a voice, muffled by burlap. You looked again. Something moved in front of me, heavy and deliberate. The corn bent backward as if something larger than a man was walking through it. Hands, cold, straw rough, closed around my wrist. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled across the ground, beam spinning, catching a glimpse of the scarecrow's face, stitched seams parting, a mouth opening where there hadn't been one. Inside was blackness and the smell of dirt that had been turned too many times. I ran. I don't remember reaching the road. Just the feeling that someone was running beside me, unseen, every step matched with mine until the first rooster crowed. Then the sound stopped. I told the sheriff I thought kids had broken into the field. He nodded, didn't write anything down, just said, "Best you get gone before dark." Before I left town, I drove past the field one last time. The scarecrow was gone. In its place stood a new post, empty but for a rope dangling in the wind. When I looked closer, I saw something hanging from the fence. My flashlight, mud-caked and cracked, beam still faintly glowing. It's been 3 years since then. Every Halloween night, exactly at midnight, my porch light flickers once. Sometimes, when the wind dies and everything goes still, I hear that same dragging breath just outside the window. I don't look. I never look. Because in Ashfield, we learned too late what the old folks meant. Don't look at the scarecrow after midnight. Candle, if you enjoyed this true Halloween legend, subscribe to Do of Dread for more real-feeling horror stories that live in the dark corners of October.